Last night, the Toronto Raptors won against the Indiana Pacers 118-100. You are watching Raptors Today. I'm Savanna Hamilton alongside Paul Jones, and Sherman Hamilton will be joining us in a little bit. Paul, what a game last night. The Raptors finally got their home win of the season. And believe it or not, it's been a home win since back in 2020 of February.
Yeah, it's crazy. A long time in between drinks of water for the Raptors. But, last night I thought was probably one of their, in the five that they played, probably their most complete game of the season. They were good at both ends of the floor. They got out to a good start. A lot of important people played well. Their offense was clicking. They made shots. Some we talk about, boy, what can this team do? We talk about adjustments, the bench, the starters, the chemistry. Sometimes the adjustment is just making shots. And we talked about that on Nightcap last night with Leo, Jack, and Randy. They made shots last night, Savanna,
yes.
And that's something that really helps in every way. It boosts your confidence. It gives you a little boost on the defensive end. Individual guys stepped forward from that. I thought they did a great job at both ends of the court on the offensive end and really, really on the defensive end as well.
Absolutely. They had a spark last night, something that they've been working on, trying to find that team chemistry throughout the season, so it was great to see that. And I'm getting a little bit of deja vu because it's almost like we called a certain couple of players going off in the in this game, one being in particular Fred VanVleet. What a captain he was last night on the floor, such a general. I feel like he really initiated the tone and the pace of the game. He had 26 points, but what were your thoughts?
Well, look, the 10 rebounds too, 4 on the offensive end, Savanna. And it makes us look good. It's easy to call on the best player because a guy like Fred, after the loss against Chicago, albeit a career high 17 assists, but also career high 8 turnovers. And a guy that's that good is going to say, I need to do better. I need to play better. I need to be better for this team and raise my game another level. And that's what he did yesterday. He was terrific. Made shots, only missed 1 3-point shot. Very close to a triple-double. He seemed to be able to get the offense going, getting other people involved. And then part of that defense think about it, the Raptors held Sabonis right down. Here's a guy who was averaging 25 a game. He had 4 turnovers, Toronto all over him. Fred, one of those guys with the hands in there digging. So I thought Fred played a terrific floor game last night.
Listen, Jonesy, we're going to talk about defense in a moment, but we got to talk about another floor general that came off the bench this time, Dalano Banton, who took more minutes this game. It was great to see. He actually had 16 minutes. He contributed 10 points to the offensive end of things. And out of the 27 points that the bench contributed as a whole, like I said, 10 of those were his. What did you think of his game?
I was great to see Nick bring him in a little earlier. He didn't wait till the third quarter. He got the spark in the second quarter. And I know people are going to say, well, there was no Dragic. Hey, Nick Nurse's loyalty is to winning. I mean, everybody gets paid, and he's doing his best to try and win. He put Banton in early. He provided that spark. He got the second unit going. I just love the length and the athleticism that he uses. I mean, he had a block where he was beat and recovered to knock the ball out of bounds. The pace at which he plays, and that's the way Toronto plays. And it's hard to play like that all the time, Savanna. People say, they want to run, and then partway through they get tired or they're not in shape or their mindset drifts, and they don't do it all the time. When Banton is in the game for Toronto, that's the way they're going to play. I thought he did a great job last night.
Absolutely. It's something that Banton sticks out to me is the fact that he's so tall, he's so lanky, he's 6'9". He has no business being that fast with that great of handles at this level. He's still a rookie. But somebody else that we have to talk about, of course, is OG Anunoby. He had 16 points in the first quarter. And honestly, he's one of those players that took the pressure off of everybody else. And because of that, guys like Fred VanVleet, guys like Dalano were able to play their game without the less pressure of having to be like, okay, I need to score because my team needs me right now. So what did you think of OG's game?
Well, and like Fred, the better players internalize that stuff. I need to be better. I need to do things better for my team. And OG got off to a terrific start at both ends of the floor. And then once he starts to take over and goes into domination mode, it gives the rest of the team confidence. They know they can throw him the ball. They can play off him. And OG is he's got that quiet demeanor, that quiet, driven personality. That after the last, few games, he wants to see this team win, and he's going to do things like that. he's been really good in the last 3 games. Not all of them have resulted in wins, but you can see him picking up his game.
And something that also has been picking up has been the defensive end for the Raptors. Now, they've actually had a pretty, I won't take it away from them. They have a pretty decent season so far defensively. It's been the offense that they've needed a little extra click. But last night, they showed out traditional Raptors basketball. And I noticed that they double-teamed Sabonis, took him out of position, denied the passing lane. So Sabonis was not able to contribute his regular season average of 24 points to the game. But, what stood out to you defensively?
Well, exactly that, Savanna. Sabonis is, the guy's an all-star. He's big, he's strong. I thought the Raptors, as you said, did a terrific job double teaming him, and they got to him early. Mm-hmm. And once he starts to get into pass mode early, he's watching for double teams coming. Who's open? Where am I going to get rid of the ball? I think it takes away some of a player's aggressiveness and assertiveness because they're looking over their shoulder. Where's the double coming from? And they just want to get rid of the ball. And it put him in a mindset where he was not attacking, and the Raptors were able to hang on to him. I thought it was a great game plan by, Nick Nurse, Adrian Griffin, and all the Raptors coaching staff, and it showed. 18 steals, a season high.
Absolutely. And fun fact, Raptors are currently second in the league in steals as well as first in the league in deflections. We are actually going to hear from the team and head coach Nick Nurse.
I feel like over time, just them learning my game more and more, after drafting me, obviously, and seeing me day by day and just understanding what my strengths are and, making me play to those strengths. And, with Coach Nurse and also Coach Earl, they put me in positions to be successful. And they know that going up and down is, one of my strengths. So playing with pace is just, better for the whole team, me getting up the court, get guys in their spots. And, I feel like just being able to run, we'll play at our best. We have a lot of athletic guys with a lot of length. And a lot of guys who can hit shots as well. So if we just continue to play with pace, the sky's going to be the limit for us. And, whenever I come in, I'm going to try and do that and do whatever I can to help win. Yeah, definitely. For us three, just being from Canada, being a part of the Raptors, is big. Never seeing 3 Canadians on the same team, but, being it on the Raptors, is big. So, just being able to play for the Raptors and being from Canada is huge. Like, it's a hard explanation. You just kind of see yourself doing it growing up. And, when it comes to it's a blessing. So I know that it's surreal to me, just like it's surreal to them. So, but yeah, I feel like we have a good bond building, with the Canadian group. But, with all these guys, they've been a great help. Boucher, Birch, VanVleet, to me, just, helping me grow as a rookie and, getting me into spots where I could be successful and, never holding out on advice, So it's been great.
Somebody else that can push the ball, right? That speed. That was kind of the 1-2 punch that I remember coming in with, my early years. They stressed for me to push the pace and change the tempo of the game. So that's a skill in the NBA, being able to push the pace, being able to collapse the defense. And I think once he gets a couple more gears, slow, and he'll be even more dangerous. But that when he's out there moving, it's hard to guard. And we saw that early in training camp. He's just flying around and he can make the right reads. The game will continue to slow down for him. But he was great for us tonight, and he's been playing great. So hopefully we can keep building on that, and he can keep growing. That's one of those things, you have it or you don't. You know what I mean? And I saw it. The first couple of times I saw him play. Again, the speed and the length, and sometimes you can make passes that you think are open and they're not, and that's something that you'll learn. But his eyes are always in the right spot. His heart is always in the right place, and he's been making a lot of plays for us. He's getting better defensively. He's just a smart guy. You want smart guys out there who can lock into the game plan, who know how to play off of each other. And I think just the more reps and experience that he gets, he'll continue to get better. From day one, I just told him to shoot the 3. That's probably his only issue he's going to have. And he stepped up and knocked 2 down, 2 for 3 tonight. It's going to be a problem if he knocks those down. Other than the first game, I think we've been pretty physical in every game we've played. So yes, we're adjusting to it, adapting to it. It's going to take some time. I thought we were definitely very physical tonight. OG set the tone in the paint offensively. I thought all 5 guys were on the same page defensively to start the game. And it's something that we'll continue to get better with and learn. And, it's changed so much. Drastically it's changed. And, we'll continue to learn and adapt to it, not really complaining about it. And it's just little small things here and there, but you really just can't play for fouls anymore. It's like they're not calling much in terms of when guys are trying to get fouled. So works for us defensively. I think it'll be an advantage, and offensively we'll have to continue to learn and adapt.
Yeah, it was I thought a good really good overall game in a lot of areas that we've been needing to improve or working on. We guarded really well. We turned them over, played hard, got to the basket. Thought we played pretty unselfish. I don't know how many assists we ended up with. Only 22, but felt like we were passing the ball pretty well, right? And going to some strengths. We found some places to go with it and tried to take advantage of it. But just glad how hard they played mostly. And I'm really like, I think two guys I'd like to talk about. I think he's one. I think he's really solid defensively too. Like he's versatile. And just like all the young guys, they'll make a mistake here or there. And one was, it's pretty minor, but the plays when McConnell goes zinging under the basket, it's until you've seen it a couple of times, it's tricky to guard. And he froze under the basket. And McConnell turned and shot that little jumper. And one of the coaches said, "Hey, listen, that's the one we're talking about. You got to keep pursuing him. And with your height, and he chased him down. The next time he blocked it out of bounds. And that's, so that he's learning and he's got some ability to do a variety of things defensively. And I think the other guy that probably doesn't get much talk about or hasn't and has played really, really good defense is Gary Trent, right? He is just all up on people and over people. And I'm like really pleased with that because I'm not sure. Well, I'm sure that's what we wanted, and I'm not sure that we were going to see that. And then he's been really aggressive and good with that this year, and that really it's a big boost, I think, to our defensive lineup. Well, it's you guys know there's a lot of stuff going on with these decisions. I know that's why you ask me all the questions about what goes into it, but mostly I would say it was geared towards Chris. I wanted to get Chris into an early subbing situation tonight to try to change his just overall vibrations or vibe out there, right? I just wanted to change. And I thought bringing those two early together would be a good combo with what was going to be left out there. And then kind of looking further down, I just thought, again, the way doing that enabled us to do, again, a little differently. From there, I think experimenting a little bit too with Freddie's instead of the kind of historic long runs to start the game of getting him out, around the 5-minute mark or so. And then getting him back in towards the end of the quarter and playing through the start. And, some of that maneuvering we were looking at too. So that's kind of some of the thinking that went into that.
Today we're going to head over now to Sherman Hamilton, who's going to break down some of the finer details on last night's win.
Thanks, Sav. The Raptors got some performances off the bench, and one thing we've been looking for in this early part of the season is to figure out how this bench is going to come together and how they're going to find consistency. And one of the guys that I thought during the preseason had a real chance to be a big part of the rotation off the bench was Steve Mihailuk. And I thought that in the game against Indiana, he did a very good job of showing what he can do in terms of actually scoring the basketball. We saw it in the preseason. We haven't seen it in the early parts of the regular season, but there's no question that this young man can play. And I talked about this in the preseason, his movement, his fluidity, the way that he flows with the basketball and with his teammates on the offensive end. I like his skill set. He can put it on the floor. He can shoot it. He gets to the basket and finds teammates. I thought against Indiana, it was very good to see him have a night where the ball goes in. He just hasn't made any shots in the early parts of the regular season. It was good to see him go 3 or 4 from the floor, score 7 points, but also make a 3. So his balance, I think, is going to be that he can attack from many areas and he can make plays from many areas of the floor. But I like also his defensive ability. With a couple steals against Indiana, he really showed that his timing, his instincts, and his ability to be an effective piece on both ends of the floor is there. Not forcing anything. Seems like he's playing within himself, understanding his time and his opportunity. I really thought against Indiana, he found a little bit of a groove and a step in the right direction in terms of what he can be on the offensive end.
He's come up with 3 plays tonight. And take it back. How about Mihailuk? What did I tell you earlier, right?
The defensive side of the basketball, as we know, is going to be crucial for the Raptors throughout the course of the season. And one thing the Raptors have to do is they have to defend by committee. And what we saw against the Indiana Pacers were the Raptors really attacked a player for the Pacers that they know gives the Pacers a lot of success. Sabonis is a guy who creates a lot of issues in terms of the physicality, rebounding the basketball, moving the basketball, being a facilitator, and just flat out scoring. And I thought that the Raptors really got to him after the initial start of the game and really slowed him down and also stopped his production. And how did they do it? Multiple guys. Different guys got a chance to attack him. And I think those different looks that Sabonis faced really kept him off balance and didn't give him that ability to get comfortable at any point of the game. But the primary defender on Sabonis, I thought each time did a very good job being physical, being present, not giving him a lot of room to move after he started hot, and made sure they continued to make him feel pressure. And I think the other side of it is he's got to defend in the open floor because the bigs for the Raptors do a good job moving around, spacing the floor that pulls him away from the basket and pulls him into situations where he has to defend on the perimeter at times, which might not be his strength. But when you can attack a primary scorer on the opposite team, a guy who's physical, a guy who's going to create a lot of issues for you on the glass, and you match his intensity like the Raptors did against Sabonis, by committee, you have a chance to be successful. The front court faced the challenge of getting into him and making sure that he didn't have the type of game that he wanted to have. But consistently, the front court of the Raptors not only defended, but also attacked and scored and made sure Sabonis had to play defense. And sometimes that's enough to change a guy's rhythm and take them out of flow.
Sabonis, Duarte, Lamb over to Brogdon, and the denial by OG. Brogdon nearly lost it. Here's Sabonis with it. He loses it. Gary Trent Jr. now. Banton stay with it, and Sabonis able to get to it. But a turnover, Mihailuk with the steal.
What I really enjoyed about the game against Indiana was the fact that the Raptors seemed to have played their best, full, complete game. I thought for 48 minutes they were completely engaged. And although they made some mistakes, I thought consistently we saw them play at a very high level. And that didn't allow Indiana to get off the mat. And to me, that's how you have to figure out when you don't have your best offensive games, when guys are still trying to understand their roles and fit into a system, the level and the energy that you play at can sometimes neutralize the things that you don't know right now. I thought against Indiana, we saw the Raptors play at an extremely high level consistently throughout the game. They never let Indiana feel comfortable. They continued to play with the lead. They stretched that lead. They made Indiana feel like if they were going to win this game, they were going to have to climb up a steep hill. And I thought the Raptors, from 1 to 5 on the floor, did a very good job implementing that mentality. I believe it starts with your leadership. OG Anunoby came off the blocks, was aggressive from the jump, both sides of the basketball. He had a fabulous first quarter, and that, to me, set the tone. And then we saw throughout the game his consistency. But then good old steady Freddie did a great job. He offensively found his game. He did a good job setting teammates up. I just thought that your leadership from Fred and OG was excellent. The rest of the team fell into line and continued to play at a high level. But when you get that kind of production with the leadership you get, and you have these young guys coming in there and they're playing at a high level and they're playing with a lot of energy and using that to their advantage, that's when you have a good recipe to kind of curb the tide until everybody gets situated and acclimated completely. So I think that the Raptors played their first, in my estimation, full game against the Indiana Pacers, where both sides of the basketball was working, and they were able to play with the lead and get the job done with consistency throughout that game against Indiana.
Now we're going to look ahead to Orlando, which the Raptors will be facing tomorrow night. What is your takeaway? What are you looking at?
Well, Savanna, a lot of people are going to be watching this game closely because, kind of like it's not the same level, but rookies tied together. Luka Doncic, Trae Young. People wanted Jalen Suggs in Toronto. They drafted Scotty Barnes. And that's the question. Is there going to be a game within a game? Does Scotty feel he needs to show out, or does Jalen Suggs need to feel that he proves something? Look, Orlando's a very young team, and there are a lot of young mouths to feed there. They start 5 really young guys. The other guy that's playing well for them is a rookie, and that's Franz Wagner. So they're a young team. There's a lot of development that has to go on. Scotty's in a situation too where he's developing, but he's developing in pretty much a championship atmosphere with guys like OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Nick Nurse, the coaching staff. I think he's got a bit of an advantage. It will be interesting to watch the game within the game, but Orlando's a very young team. And to boot, they've got a brand new head coach in Jamal Mosley, who I think is terrific, but he's still implementing a system. So I give the Raptors the upper edge here, the upper hand here. What happens on the court, though, is something totally different.
Absolutely. And I've heard that Suggs and Barnes actually have a pretty good off-court relationship as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's almost like a little friend rivalry, maybe. Maybe not, less so.
But you want to show out against your friend, too, right?
Exactly. You'll put the friend in his place once in a while. But, one thing I will say that Barnes, he is such a composed player. He really showed that out last night against Indiana as well. So, he had 18 points, and I don't think that we can expect anything different. I don't think the pressure of that in-game rivalry that we're making this out to be is going to necessarily affect his play on the court per se, but who knows? We'll wait and watch. The Raptors are playing Indiana again coming up. What will you be looking for there?
It's tough to win in that situation. It's almost like a playoff situation, Savanna, where you play a team one night and you beat them, and then you turn around and play them the next night. The team that loses is always a little bit more desperate. They always want to come out and prove themselves, and they take it personally. We're talking about Orlando, lose by 20 at home, and then go and win in New York against the Knicks. So the Raptors have to be aware of that. They just beat this team down. Indiana's at home. They're going to be gassed up and looking for them. So after they get past Orlando, they've got to focus on the back-to-back and go in with the same intensity and energy.
Absolutely, and a part of me feels like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And maybe the strategy that they used this past game could work again in terms of doubling Sabonis, making sure he doesn't get a hand on the ball early and get too hot. We talk about this off camera, but Brogdon also left the game in the third quarter. So he's going to, if he does return on, in their rematch game, that's a player that you do still have to watch out for. But you could catch the next game, Orlando, at 7 p.m. tomorrow on Sportsnet and listen to it on TSN. Thank you again for watching Raptors Today from Christian, Jake LaRue, Paul Jones, Sherman Hamilton. I'm Savanna Hamilton. Have a good day.